So, welcome back to our next episode of the Let's Chat Derbyshire podcast, where we talk about mental health, suicide prevention and neurodiversity. I'm Luke and I work in the Derbyshire Public Health, Mental Health and Suicide Prevention team. We hope you're doing well, and today we're lucky enough to be joined by Ellie. Woo!
Crowd goes wild.
Where we're going to be talking about young people's mental health and the amazing Georgia Bird Foundation. So if you've not already, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and like and subscribe to the podcast. So just before Ellie introduces herself, we just want to do a little check-in. How are you doing out of 10?
Out of 10, I'd probably say about a 6.
A 6?
A 6.
That's quite strong, though.
Yeah, I'm okay. It's a bit of a slog to get out of bed this morning.
Yeah.
You know, when it's so dark.
It's horrible, isn't it?
It's just like... It's
Yeah.
not the vibe. But no, I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm not bad, yeah. Yeah, all right. This is the first time I've left the house to come to the office since Christmas, so that was...
hard.
That was hard, yeah.
Early start.
Yeah.
To be fair, this is the first time I've come out for like a meeting. I've been at home
Don't enjoy
since.
it.
So yeah, it's been a nice wake-up call this morning.
And we're both rocking the cardies, so...
I think, the granny cardigans.
Yeah.
Old man and old lady,
Yeah.
let's go. Talking about young people.
Lovely. So, I think it's best to start off with, if you wouldn't mind telling us a bit about what the Georgia Bird Foundation does.
Yeah, okay. So, at the Georgia Bird Foundation, our main thing that we do is we run free singing and songwriting sessions for young people aged 11 up to 24. It's just a safe space for kids to come. I say kids, some of them are like similar age to me, but they're all kids to me.
Yeah.
Apparently I'm still a child. So just for young people to come, have just a safe, all-inclusive space just to be themselves, let out their emotions, singing. Such a good way to help your mental health, boost creativity, releases endorphins in your brain, feel-good chemicals, and just makes you feel good. So really safe space for young people to come and just have fun and make new friends who are kind of in a similar position to them.
Oh, that's lovely. That sounds great. And, we've heard, us as a team, I'm speaking, the young people from the choir sing many times, and it's great. And I think even just over these last few years of me being in the role I'm doing, seeing how some of them have progressed.
Yeah.
It's just so nice to see.
Absolutely. I think it's... I was looking back at one of the first videos of our carol concerts we did 3 years ago to the one we've just done, and the progression and the confidence kind of from that first concert, and also grown in numbers as well, which is really nice. It's just amazing to see. It's
I
good.
love it, yeah. And just seeing the confidence grow as well is just incredible. How did it come about? Obviously, it's a great cause, but it was on the back of something that's not too great.
Yes, it's not the nicest story, but so 6 years ago, nearly 7, I was out in Cyprus working with my best friend, performing as singers, but unfortunately the day after, 2 days after we got there, Georgia, my best friend, took her own life, and I was the one that found her. Obviously it was a really, really difficult time for me. I'd never really experienced any sort of mental health issues, apart from like a little bit of social anxiety up until that point. I only kind of knew what Georgia had told me, what she was experiencing, but also it was very unexpected at the time. I was completely on my own, very kind of lost, didn't really know who to turn to. I decided to stay in Cyprus, which was just the decision that I made at the time, because I went into fight or flight mode. Yeah. Carried on singing, performing, because the same night I went to a show and performed that night after being at the police station for several hours. Yeah. And then, I came home in November, and that's when I kind of really started to struggle, isolated myself away, and a lot of questions going around in my head and thinking, I need some help. I didn't really know where to go. And I went to my GP, and they gave me a list of local groups, and I did go to one, and it was, bearing in mind I was 20 at the time, and everybody was over the age of 65 at that group, and it was kind of like a talking circle about mental health, and I just wasn't in a position where I was ready to do that. And there really was nothing for young people out there that I could find that I related to, that I wanted to do, that I wanted to get involved with. So I thought I was just going to do something myself. To start with, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So then I just kind of came up with a few ideas, and then set on the idea of setting up a choir or a young people's music group, because me and Georgia were both singers. Singing, like I said before, such a good way to help your mental health, and want to share that experience with other young people. And I believe everybody can sing. When people come to me and say, "Oh, but I can't sing," I'm like, "Yes, you can. You can sing." I believe everybody can sing. And yeah, it's that's kind of how it all started, really. So I just said, I found a venue, and just kind of said, put it out on social media. I'm doing this group, and yeah, it kind of just built from there.
It's nice how you've turned a really tragic, awful time of your life into such a positive.
Thanks.
Do you think singing in Cyprus helped you get through that initial stage, or was it more you just turning blind to it and trying to ignore what happened?
I think probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
Because it was a good distraction. In a sense of, I was still doing the job that I initially thought that I loved.
Yeah.
And I think the more that I did it, the more I fell out of love with singing, because I was doing it, I was there, and I wasn't doing it with my best friend like I'd planned to do. I think for the first couple of months, I was okay, because I was just kind of in that, I'm just getting up, going to work, coming back, and that's kind of was like my routine. And for a while, that was fine for me. I was happy to do that, and it didn't really acknowledge in my head, I'm not really socialising, and I'm not really going out and seeing people or doing other things. When I'm in this beautiful country, on this beautiful island with so much to do, and I'm literally just going from my apartment to my gig and coming home, repeat. Occasionally a food shop. Okay. But yeah, and I think the last few months I kind of realised, this isn't fun anymore. I'm not enjoying this. So yeah, it was more of a kind of just an initial shock response, I think, just kind of trying to push it down. And I think because I was in another country as well, even though it happened over there, because I wasn't with any of my family or friends who also knew Georgia, I wasn't, I was getting a lot of Facebook messages, people phoning me asking what happened, how did you do it, what was, and I wasn't in a position where I wanted to answer those questions or ready to.
Yeah.
So for me, being away from it all kind of felt like a bit of a relief, because I didn't have to face up to the people. And it wasn't until I came home, I was like, everybody's here now. I kind of have to deal with these conversations that I probably wasn't ready for, but knew that I had to go through at some point.
I guess it was quite nice in a way that you could ignore them.
Yeah.
For a bit then, I guess, really, because it is hard, isn't it?
It is hard.
You've lost your best friend that you've been best friends for a long time.
Since we were born.
Yeah.
Our mums were friends before we were born, and then we were born 8 weeks apart. We went to the same primary school, like always at each other's houses constantly. And then she moved to America though with her family when she was 7. But we stayed in contact via email, because social media wasn't the thing back then.
No.
But when we were 13, we found each other on Instagram, which was really cool.
That's amazing.
And then we started Skyping each other for like hours and hours and hours.
Wow.
And then, but her accent had completely changed, so she got this full, thick Virginia American accent. I loved it. I thought it was great. But yeah, we turned out to be like completely opposite kind of people. Yeah. So she's very like outgoing and party animal. I was very, I'm going to stay home, drink tea, in bed with a book kind of person. But we just worked so well together. We were always there for each other. And, we made sure we called each other at least once a week. And yeah, it was just a really beautiful friendship. And then she came over to England to surprise me for my 18th birthday, because she turned 18 before me, so she was allowed to fly on her own when she turned 18, and she came back to surprise me, which is such a lovely memory that I'll always remember. And yeah, and when I got the opportunity in Cyprus, knowing that she's a singer as well, and we used to do the cup song. We used to do the cup song, but on Skype together, and it didn't work because there was a massive lag. So ridiculous. So but that was one of the first things we did when we got together, is we recorded a video of us singing the cup song, which was really nice. So that's also a really nice memory that I've got. And yeah, so when I went out to Cyprus, we're both singers. She, honestly, her voice was just incredible. Like, it's mesmerising. I could listen to her sing all day. And she wanted a break. She wanted something new. She wanted something different, like a fresh start. So that's why I kind of invited her out with me to Cyprus.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, thank you for sharing that. So when you started it up, obviously, started with a few people.
Yeah.
That transformation, I guess, from then to now.
Yeah.
What's happened, if you can try and summarise it, because a lot has happened. We know a lot's happened.
Yeah.
some of the highlights, I think, what we could touch upon, because there's been some great achievements, hasn't there?
Yeah, I would say probably my first Think Fest, which is the Mental Health Awareness Festival that I organised. It's quite funny because the first time I did it, I'd got 4 choir members on the stage, just 4, that's it, singing. But they did a fantastic job when they sang, it was beautiful. But just kind of, we did have some other members, but who weren't kind of like confident enough to go on the stage, or they were on holiday or illness and things, which what we do at the foundation, it's a no performance pressure. So if you just want to come and sing and write songs, absolutely fine. If you don't want to perform, there's no pressure. If you want to sing and you want to perform, absolutely fine. We're not like you've got to audition for solos kind of thing. Like, if you want to sing a solo and get up and show people that this is helping your mental health, like, do it. Great. Absolutely. And that first Think Fest, it was good. Like, I'm really kind of proud of that achievement, but also kind of looking back of how it's grown over the past couple of years. Yeah. To kind of the one last year being the most successful, which was really nice. And then the Baton of Hope, I think, got to touch on that because we got involved with the Baton of Hope and wrote their official anthem, which is really crazy to say. We got to go to a studio and record it. Yeah. We got to take them on a trip to London, which was amazing because a lot of them had never been to London before, and just being able to spend the day there with us all together was really, really nice. And then the carol services that we do every year, I think, is it's my favourite thing, because it's just a free service that the young people get up and sing different Christmas carols and different Christmas songs. Anybody can come. It's a safe, open space. We've got people on hand to chat if you need it. Everyone gets a free hot meal and a hot drink. And I mean, this year we had over 200 people, so it was buzzing. Incredible. It was a really, really nice thing.
You'll have to take over the football club soon and do it there.
I know, yeah. Oh my gosh, could you imagine? That'd be so much fun.
That's amazing.
I'll have to.
I guess we should probably touch on ThinkFest a bit.
Okay.
I'm sure it will be happening again, won't it?
It will be, absolutely.
So for anyone who wasn't there it's last year now.
Last year, yeah.
What went on, and I guess what's planned for this year? Do you have any dates yet?
So ThinkFest last year, ThinkFest is a mental health awareness festival, and last year we did it on Vicar Lane in Chesterfield, which I think was our best kind of venue / area yet. The first one we did it indoors, the second one outdoors, and then this one we kind of moved it to Vicar Lane, and we do it on a Saturday, and basically what we do is we kind of just take over Vicar Lane, and we had the streets lined with stalls of different mental health services, but all different kinds of mental health services, so not your standard like IAP services. It was everyone, including like peer support groups, different sort of mental health small businesses, Samaritans were there. We had so many different stalls. We had over 30, which was a big achievement. Definitely. Over 30 different organisations. And then in the main circle of Vicar Lane under the TV screen, we had lots of different performers, so including the choir, which was fantastic. So we had different performers and guest speakers. So we had Mike McCarthy, who brought the Baton of Hope with him, and that was kind of like a first glimpse at the Baton, which was amazing to see it in person and to hear Mike's story. And so many people were walking in the streets and stood still to listen to his story and why we're doing this, which is so important. And lots of incredible singers who all kind of have a connection to mental health in some way, whether it's personally, whether it's through somebody else, or because they want to help make a difference. And then we also had a spare shop, an empty shop that wasn't being used, and we put on a variety of different workshops that can help support mental health. So there was things like a community drumming circle, art therapy. We had a theatre group come in to talk about how they're autistic and how theatre and acting and sort of improvisation, there we go, like improvisation.
I'm not even going to attempt it.
Improvisation kind of helps manage their anxiety, which was really interesting. And they actually got some new sign-ups from coming to do that session. So it's a lot of things that go into ThinkFest. It's like 3 different sort of things, but all working together really nicely. And what was great is that I got feedback from some of the stalls that they had like new sign-ups, for example. So SOBS, Survivors of Bereavement by Suicide, they had 3 new people come and join their group just from somebody walking doing the shopping on Saturday. Like, I think it was advertised, but obviously there's going to be people who didn't know what was going on. and loads of people stopped to have a chat and have conversations.
Yeah.
So, the amount of people we reached that day was,
phenomenal.
a lot.
Yeah. I think it's good as well because, like you said, it's not just those statutory services. It's not your NHS services. It's not your councils. It was just people from communities that support people, help each other.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, really.
Yeah, and it's about breaking down the stigma as well. If
Yeah.
people are openly having conversations about mental health and support in Chesterfield Town Centre, hopefully that will help kind of break down that stigma if people are talking more openly about it.
Yeah, definitely.
And also just showing to people that there's more than one option of going to your GP, medication and therapy, which is the main two that you will get from a GP. There's actually so much more out there. And in Chesterfield, that we are really lucky. Across Derbyshire, we have got a lot of groups and grassroots organisations and peer groups that do such a phenomenal, fantastic job that can work really well alongside different kinds of therapies to help people.
Yeah. And if people do want to know what's locally, there's the Rethink Mental Health map.
Yeah.
We can pop a link into that. That's got loads of different services on it. And if there's not something that's right for you, there'll be services on there that can point you in the right direction. So we'll put that on. But yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
It's okay.
So with all of this, I think your life is a lot around mental health now, isn't it? Obviously, it's your job, you volunteer.
Yeah.
How do you look after your own mental health?
I always say that, especially, how they say that doctors make the worst patients.
Yeah.
People who work in mental health do the worst at looking after their mental health, and
yeah.
it is a priority because I think everybody, me, you, people who work in our sector, we always preach self-care is so important. It's really important to take time for yourself, step away from things if it's getting stressful, but then we will always push ourselves because we want to support as many people as we can. But I think especially kind of over the last few months, it has really kind of come to the forefront that I do need to prioritise my mental health because at the end of the day, how can I do my best at supporting others if I'm not at 100%?
Yeah, 100%.
So things that I like to do is, the cardigan kind of matches the vibe. I love to crochet.
Love it.
And I'm making my first jumper at the minute. Yeah.
Oh, so
over Christmas I made little hanging plants and hats and stuff and little coasters.
What? That's so cool.
And I just used to do it every night before bed because for me, I noticed my mental health is slipping the most is to do with sleep. And my sleep goes first. I'm not sleeping properly, staying awake till silly hours in the morning, and I love my sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm really groggy if I don't get the amount of sleep that I need. So it was what I started to do was, trying to get in a good routine with my sleep. So no caffeine after 2:00 and drinking decaf teas, but nice teas that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And start doing my little crocheting before bed.
That's great.
And it's just kind of that half an hour to an hour out of my day that I can think, right, this is time for myself. My phone's not on, I'm not going to pick it up and speak to anybody. Have some music on in the background or Netflix on, but not really paying attention, just for background noise. But I think that's for me. And then I also like getting out for a walk and going to see my friends.
Yeah.
I think having that space to not necessarily talk about what's going on in your life, but just to see your friends and have a laugh is really important. And that definitely helps me.
Oh, that's great. Does the choir help as well?
Oh, massively. They do help. Yeah, absolutely. I think volunteering and putting my time in and kind of seeing their growth and seeing them kind of come through as these young people into young adults as well, kind of seeing that transformation and their confidence grow and looking at their journeys from when they first started to come in to where they are now, makes you feel like you're doing good. So it makes you feel good.
No, that's great. Thank you. So when this episode comes out, it will be around Children's Mental Health Week. So for anyone listening, it is. Yeah, the 5th to the 11th of February. So I guess probably start off with, and I guess it's from personal experience as well, what are the signs people can look for maybe in their child or the friend if someone's mental health is struggling?
I would say any sort of changes in behaviour, no matter how subtle. So that's kind of really broad and really wide. But if you've sort of know somebody who's a really kind of flamboyant, outgoing person and suddenly starts to retract, kind of isolating themselves away, then you can kind of notice that change. It's really obvious, but kind of if you're somebody who is naturally quite quiet themselves, it's a little bit harder to notice. So it's just kind of taking that extra precaution and checking in, and you're never too young or too old to check in with your friends, with your children or with each other, just to be like, hey, is everything okay? And we say like the ask twice. And again, I think that's a really, really good message that people should learn from a young age to be able to talk about that with their friends. So yeah, I think it's anything from becoming like isolating themselves, kind of, spending more time in your bedroom, away from people, being more tearful, not wanting to talk about stuff, kind of avoiding questions. From my own experience, from kind of the young people that I work with, they're kind of like the main things that go on.
And that's what I want to hear. We want to hear, from your experience. Obviously, you support so many young people. It's good to hear that. And just for anyone listening, the ask twice thing, I think sometimes it can be made of a joke of.
Yeah.
But it is really important, and it doesn't have to be some like robotic thing. It is literally just, how are you doing? And then everyone just goes, yeah, I'm all right.
It's automatic. It's like a reflex.
Yeah, just taking that time, just like, look, mate, are you sure? Like, you sure you're all right? It just, like you said, it takes that time just for them to think again. What can affect a young person's mental health? That's what I'm trying to get out of my mouth.
Yeah.
So what we see a lot is a lot around bullying and abuse. This can be at school, it can be at home.
Yeah.
We're seeing it a lot more online now. Grieving, I think a lot of people overlook that young people do grieve a lot, whether it's for a family member, even celebrities and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
It can,
pets.
Yeah,
pets is a big one.
Yeah, definitely. And then a big one, breakdown in friendships and loneliness. A lot of young people now are lonely, even though we live in a world of social media and constant connections. I think it can be lonely, can't it?
Oh, it can be.
We've all felt it, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think there was a statistic, I can't say the word statistic, on the news the other day, they were doing around Christmas, the Christmas period.
Yeah.
And it was that there was more young people who felt lonely over the Christmas period than older adults and over 65s, which is,
it's
not
really
something that you would
interesting.
expect.
Yeah.
So just kind of open your eyes that, young people do get really lonely.
It's so important to meet up with people,
have those in-person conversations,
and really connect, because it's so easy, isn't it, just to get in that pit of, I don't want to do anything today, I don't want to go out and stuff. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. If someone may be struggling, from your experience, is there any advice you'd give to someone who may be feeling low? Obviously, come to the Georgia Bird Foundation.
Come and sing at choir.
Yeah.
Why not? If you're between 11 to 25, come to choir. It's free. One of the biggest things, or bit of advice I would give, is to not bottle it up. I am a sucker for doing that. Like, I'm terrible for doing it, and I know a lot of people are too. But the more that you learn to open up, the easier it gets. And there's always somebody who will listen. So you might just think, I don't want to burden people. Nobody wants to hear my problems. Like, they're already dealing with a lot, so I can't put anything else on other people. The thing is, friendships are there and connections are there for a reason. Like, trust a family member. Like, your parents will want to know if you're struggling. But if you don't feel comfortable talking to your parents, which, some people don't, there are other people who you can speak to. And it's just important to talk to somebody. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how big or how small you think the problem is. The more that you bottle it up, things will just keep piling on top and piling on top and piling on top until there's no more room in your body to hold any more of this kind of feelings of emotions, and it will just kind of explode. And that's what you want to avoid. So the more you start talking about it, the easier things will get. Always talk to somebody.
The best analogy, and I still think it is the balloon. If you imagine, when you blow into a balloon, that's the stress building up, anxiety, it could be exams, everything, and it will pop, won't it?
Exactly.
But if you talk to someone, every time you talk to someone, a bit of air comes out of the balloon, and it will help. And for parents or adults listening, do listen. You don't need to have the answers.
No.
To it, and to be fair, you probably won't have the answers. I wouldn't have the answers.
I don't have the answers either. I think that's the thing. It's just about listening. Because sometimes people, when you're feeling low, it's not necessarily about having those answers. It's just about offloading and getting that information out there, because automatically when you tell someone, you might think, I feel a little bit better now that somebody else knows and is kind of sharing that, understands what I'm going through, and is just kind of there for me if I need to talk. They don't necessarily need to have the answers. And, like you said, a lot of people don't. It is just listening and hearing that person and just being there for support.
Yeah, I think trying to make the time for it, and don't put it off, and do just sit down and listen to them, and try try and let the barriers down a bit, I think. You know, if a young person is coming to you to open up, that's a brave thing to do.
It is really brave. And not, I think as well, not making like a huge deal out of it that they've done it. It's like, oh my goodness, you've come to talk to me. What can I do? How can I help? Like, this is really good that you're doing this, kind of like smother it. And you kind of want to avoid that. But also as well, you know, don't go complete opposite end and don't care. Like if a young person's coming to you, like thank them and say, you know, what you've done is really brave. Like, thank you so much for opening up to me. And then you can kind of take that conversation. I mean, probably most of that time, the conversation won't need to go any further.
Yeah.
But obviously, if they do show signs of kind of concern for their safety or anything else, then they do, obviously, you'd need to kind of pass it over to...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a list. We'll put a link to the Emotional Health and Wellbeing website as well. And there's a list of local services, statutory service, you know, different places that can support young people. Is there any, I don't know, last words of wisdom you'd like to share? Fountain of knowledge? Or
oh God, I don't know.
When's the next Think Fest? Is there any, what's coming up for the choir?
Okay, so coming up for the choir, at the moment we had our first session back last night actually, which was really nice. And they sound amazing. We're working on a new song and it's so good. Can't wait for everyone to hear it. So that's going to be at Think Fest. We are looking to do Think Fest again in May. We're looking, it's either going to be the 18th, which is the Saturday during Mental Health Awareness Week, or potentially the week after because of availability. And we're actually working on an album. So we've got we received a little bit of funding from the Derbyshire Music Partnership.
Amazing.
So because the experience of going to the recording studio for the Baton of Hope single was just incredible, and they were quite nervous to start with, but then seeing them go for it and then being able to kind of see them hear what they produce was just amazing. And I want them to have something that's kind of personal for them, so they can tell their individual stories through their music and kind of just say what they want to say through their messages. So we're going back to the studio and working on an album.
That's incredible.
Very exciting.
We'll pop a link into the Baton of Hope anthem actually, because you can buy it on all of the platforms.
All major music streaming platforms.
So, and it is great
You can even ask Alexa.
That's lovely. Thank you. And do follow us and the Georgia Foundation on socials, because that's where we'll share information around Think Fest, around what they do and stuff. So, yeah, I think it's great. So, thank you.
No, thank you for having me. It's been great.
Really appreciate you coming in. So, yeah, like I said, we will be putting links for everything we've sort of discussed on our socials in the description below as well. And you've been listening to the Let's Chat Derbyshire podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with a young person that you may know. Our episodes will be released every first and third Tuesday of the month. Thank you.
I got my ticket for